2 weekends ago, I think it was 2 weekends ago, we decided to try something new because Mason's, not family, his friends at work were going to do something just as a little get together over the weekend. So Mason decided to say yes to them and we went canoeing. We've never been canoeing before, not our type of thing, but we decided to go anyways because I wanted to try something new and get out of my bubble. Needless to say, it was, we thought it was going to be fun. Good morning! We're on our way to go to the canoes now. Actually, first we're going to my doctor's and then we're going canoeing. But it's a little rainy and cloudy, but that's okay. Pop already warned me that girl got bit by an alligator. Mason told me don't worry that the water's only 2 to 3 feet deep, right honey? Where are we going?
King's Landing, canoeing down to Wekiva Springs.
Wekiva Springs, and it's all clear water and stuff, so that'll be fun. Mason wanted me to do my hair and my makeup and look pretty to meet his coworkers. And then he said once I meet them, then I can pull my hair up.
Did you get dryer sheets?
Dryer sheets?
Mm-hmm.
For what?
Bugs.
No. It's not dark out.
That's gonna be bugs.
But it's not dark.
But there's gonna be bugs.
Oh.
Should I stop them?
No.
Stop and get them?
No?
Okay. You're allergic to mosquitoes, so.
Yeah, but it's during the day. Did Mom tell you that?
No, but they did.
Well, then go back home and get dryer sheets. U-turn! We gotta go home and get dryer sheets now. And then we can go to my doctor's, and then we can go to the canoe. Hope the sun comes out though, because it's really cloudy right now. Mom warned me too that if the gators were to get me, that their nostrils are sensitive, so you just poke them in the nostrils, and that's how that girl got out when they bit his leg. Bit her leg. And there's my honey bunny. And it was already on my mind when Mason first mentioned it, but my family had to remind me that canoes can flip over. Luckily, Mason, like you said, it's only 2 to 3 feet deep. But I was like, you can't do that, they flip over and there's gators. We'll see. So we had to pay $40 in order to go canoeing, to like rent our canoe. We are here. Well, if people have tubes and stuff, then there must not be gators, right? Like in the water, because they got inner tubes. I guess if you don't bother them, they won't bother you. Oh, look at that little thing. Restrooms. How nice.
Ew.
It's probably a spot pot. Oh yeah, that's the restroom right there, is that red thing.
Ew.
This is legit the bathroom. I am not an adventurous, outdoorsy, hiking woods person. Getting really nervous. The place that we went, it was a natural like springs, so it wasn't not man-made. It was man-made.
No, it was natural.
Right. It was natural, so it wasn't man-made. That's where we came in.
I agreed to it because a coworker said that it was about 3 miles long. And then when we got there,
we paid the $40, and he's like, all right, you ready for your 8.5 miles? We were like, 8.5 miles?
there wasn't
like,
turning back.
Do we get a lesson or anything? Like, do we have to sign something? So we filled something out on the computer, and it took our pictures, but we didn't like think anything of it. We just signed up for it, and we did like goofy pictures because we weren't thinking like this is serious and we need our picture in case we go missing or get lost. Just gonna say that this would not be my everyday thing. Not fit me. I had to ask Mason if we got like a flare gun or something because it's 8.6 miles. So what happens if a snake or something falls from the tree and it's poisonous and then it bites you and then your throat starts to close or something, like, and you still have 5 miles to go? Are you supposed to send up the flare gun or something? Like, what happens then? So normally when you pay for something too, you're thinking it's like, it's controlled and like there's people out there with you, but we weren't. We didn't have any lessons. They didn't tell you even how to hold a paddle. They just said, here's your canoe, and we literally went down and sat in the canoe.
We started on a very small canal, and right off the gate we crashed. When we first got
yeah, because we had to get in the canoe by ourselves. Like, nobody even helped us. Like, there was two people canoes and then 3 people canoes, and we hopped in a 3-person canoe because we didn't know, but it was bigger, and then we had our Yeti cooler and stuff in the middle, and you had to like balance getting in it. Like, they could have prepared you a little bit more rather than just like sending you right to the canoe. But so we started out at the canal. We're officially canoeing. Say hi, Mace. We kept crashing into the sides of the canal. Then it kind of opened up into like really clear water, and it was like this big springs kind of thing. But since it was 8.5 miles, we obviously had to go farther. So after we got out of that little like poolish area, that's where everyone was kind of hanging out, then you started to go, and that's when the real fun began.
That's when it got real narrow, and there was logs in the middle of the pathway. And then
like just sticking out.
Trees and branches in the way to where you would either get stuck or you would just crash into the walls. It
was so narrow. Like, you'll see the footage that I recorded. It was really hard to record in those narrow spots though because you didn't have enough room. So I either had to videotape or crash. And after we crashed a couple times, I was like, I'm not video recording in this spot anymore. So I had to wait. So most of the spots that I videotaped are more open, but some of the closed ones are on there, but you can't see it, you can just hear, which is kind of bad. It's thundering really bad. Let me know if you need me to do it. This is not the area that I want to videotape though. I wanted to videotape like when we're going under the branches and stuff. Like, this is easy. I want to videotape like the obstacles, but it's hard to videotape and paddle when you need to get through the obstacles. It was so narrow, and there was just stuff sticking all out. Like, trees came up and around like this. We had to like duck under stuff. We had to like lean back. It was terrible. Oh. Oh, why are all these sticks in here?
No, I said that it's so
Bad boys!
sorry.
Yeah. Like we're legitimately stuck.
Oh, wait.
Sam,
Go, get him.
grab. You gotta grab one, Sam.
I was trying. Nice job.
Well, what's that called?
What happened first? We kept crashing,
Well,
which was not fun.
Well, first, we were with a couple of people. In our group, there was 2 girls, and in their boat were these giant spiders that were in their life preservers, and she ended up standing up, screaming because they were about that big, and they were pale and white. There was a ton of them. They were about this big, and she knocked some of them out into the water. So we ended up seeing how big they were. They're big, thin, and pale.
Luckily, we didn't have any in ours, though. But anyways, we kept crashing into the sides. I had crashed into, and Mason didn't understand, because here's the thing. The canoe's long. So Mason took the back, and I took the front, because he thought the back was for power, and the front was for steering. Turns out, it was the opposite way, and Mason was the steerer, and he wasn't very good at it. And he didn't understand, because I was in the front of the canoe. So every time we crashed into something, like you would run into these bushes and these trees, he wouldn't run into it. I ran into it, and I was the one who took the impact. So here I am, all tangled up in vines and twigs and stuff, and he's like, stop, you're fine, you're fine. I'm like, ah! Because meanwhile, I'm in the thing with like spiders and stuff. I'm covered in bushes, and it was ridiculous. And he didn't understand because he was in the back, and he was perfectly fine. But we had to back up. It wasn't going very well. And then we got really frustrated in the beginning. And then it just kept going downhill from there.
So about 3.5, 4 miles into it, we stop off to this open area. Everybody's kind of flustered and banged up, bruised. And we take about a 15-minute break. And then all of a sudden we hear really loud thunder and start to see lightning.
And lightning. Meanwhile, we have metal paddles. And we're in a
metal boat.
Metal trim canoe.
Yeah.
So and it started getting really dark too. So we didn't know whether to keep going or stop. So we stopped, because normally in Florida, what happens is it will pour and then it'll stop in a few minutes. And that wasn't the case either. Anything that could have went wrong, went wrong.
You alright? Good?
They stuck? I don't know how to go back.
Back up this way. Left side. So after our break, we started going, and then it started to rain.
This is when it got really bad.
And it got worse and worse
Started
and
to
worse.
pour. Rain was coming down like you couldn't even see, because it was just in your eyes. There was no like helping it.
It's literally raining right now.
Pouring.
Pouring down rain.
Give the thunder.
Yep. We are canoeing in the rain. And out of 5 boats, 3 boats were a couple of miles ahead of us after a couple minutes, and then there was a group behind us. Point being, no one was around us for a while.
Well, you couldn't really stick with anyone either, because it was so narrow. You kind of had to go on your own. You couldn't keep up with people, because you would just run into them, and then you would crash, and then it would just be hard to get out of it.
So it was raining, and the boat ended up filling up with a ton of water, and it was getting harder and harder to balance. So So at a point, there was a narrow space, and we had to stop and turn the boat, or we were going to crash. We were unable to turn, so we ended up crashing.
Mace! Mace!
We had to back up, and there was a bunch of these lily pads behind us.
It was like a swamp area. We had crashed into the branches of the trees, and then behind us was like a swamp, and it was just covered in lily pads, and it was really dark. So when we backed up, go ahead.
And we started to back up, and I'm backing up like this, and then all of a sudden...
Meanwhile, it was pouring.
You want to tell the story? Meanwhile, our whole canoe shifts like this, and I look over my left shoulder, and this big tail out of the corner of my eye flips into the water. A 12-foot gator jumps up behind a piece of land, not too far from us, about 3-4 feet behind us.
Not even. We were like, we could reach out and touch it. Mason starts going, Gator! Gator! And I'm like, it's okay, it's okay. I was like, keep moving. Meanwhile, you got the rain pouring in our eyes. It's dark. You can't see anything. I look at the gator, and I could see it in his eyes. But I kept telling Mason, like, I don't know how I stayed calm, but I did stay calm. And I kept telling Mason, like, he doesn't want anything to do with you. He's over there.
She didn't stay calm. She was crying. I was panicking. And we were very scared for our lives.
That's when things changed, though, because as soon as we hit that gator with our boat, we hopped on it. Like, we were not going to crash anymore, because when you crash, like I said, it's hard to balance. So when you crash, you like lose your balance, and it starts wiggling and stuff, and it's really easy to tip over. So we were on top of it. Like, there was like the narrow path and all the lily pads on each side. Like, we didn't go anywhere near the lily pads. Like, we were like, right, left, right, left.
Well, at that point, we were in survival mode because we were really scared. But 5 minutes...
Not even.
After hitting the first gator,
in front of us,
we saw a gator swimming across, and then our canoe was approaching it, and the gator dove underneath our canoe.
And you didn't know where he was, and we were about to come up on it.
So we just kept going.
I'd rather know where he was.
We kept going. Just kept going.
Our boat starts filling up with water because it's pouring, and it doesn't stop. There's so much water in our boat at this point. We thought we were going to tip because there were so many pounds of water, it kept going from side to side, and you just couldn't balance it yourself, and there was nothing to get it out with. Meanwhile, when we met the gator too, we were a little bit more than halfway, so we still had about 4 miles to go. Thunder.
Nobody in front of us, nobody behind us.
We were by ourselves. No service with your phones. Mention that. No service whatsoever.
We were discussing pulling over and calling for emergency help, but by the time they would have gotten us, we would have been in the woods in the dark when other creatures could have been there, so that wasn't a good option. So we kept pushing forward.
I was done. I wasn't even halfway. We were like 2 miles when we pulled over, and I was done. Didn't want to go anymore. I smashed my finger in a branch and the canoe. It smashed it right and took my nail polish off and everything. By this time I had scrapes and bruises all over me from crashing into the branches and the stumps and everything, and going in the twine. And
my hair was messed up.
He told me to wear. He's like, yeah, you can do your hair and your makeup. Meanwhile, I have my hair down, my makeup on. Eventually, I put my hair up, but then by the time I'm done, I'm like, I look like I just went through, like, what's that show? Naked and Afraid. It was bad.
Don't get us wrong. We still looked good.
The one time, too, we crashed into, there was, 2 trees coming out like this. You had to go around this tiny little thing to get around it because you couldn't duck underneath of it because there's so many. Of course, Mason being the steered me right into it. So what happened, I couldn't go under, I couldn't go over, he couldn't go side to side, so I was stuck. Mason's back there, not even anywhere near it. It takes me, and then you have the anticipation that whole time because you just see your pain coming, and it's coming closer, and you can't do anything about it. I tried pushing, stopping my hands, and I couldn't. The boat kept coming, going underneath of it. So I grabbed onto it. Meanwhile, I'm wrapped around the tree like a koala. I'm not even in the boat. Mason, thank God, he grabs me and puts me back down because I was stuck. I couldn't put myself back in there and couldn't get down the way the position was, and I was bent over backwards. It was really awkward. And then my paddle, I lost my paddle in that process, and it's pouring, so you got the stream all going down. I lose my paddle. I'm stuck on the tree. Mason's trying to get me back in. Felt like I was going to break my back. I somersaulted backwards the one time, out of my seat. I don't know how we didn't tip then, but we didn't do that either. But we kept rowing, caught up to the paddle, got that, thank God. Oh, and my paddle was broken to begin with. We tried getting a new one, and they wouldn't even give us a new one. They told us we couldn't come back up that way. I was like, how am I supposed to do this with a broken paddle? But if we only had one paddle, that would have been way worse.
I went out on a limb, and that's supposed to be a joke. I got out of the boat because we kept getting stuck, and I thought it was just easier to move our boat along because we kept stopping, backing up, and it took just as long for me to just push us through.
The sand things too, though. Guys, there is so much, like, it's so hard to explain. Like, I can't even explain it.
We're not outdoors people, so we're really out of our element.
Yeah,
when this happened.
Everything that you can possibly imagine happened. Like, so that's why we kept getting stuck too, because not only did you get stuck in the branches and stuff, and the trees and the bushes, but you got stuck on like top of sand dune kind of things. Is that a sand dune?
Mm.
Left side. Keep going.
It's too shallow.
Nope. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, this one's called Air.
I've been on there before. That's fun.
They are fun, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, bullshit.
We went on the Everglades.
I've never been on one.
It's fun. It's different.
It's a lot of hot air. I'm like, this thinks like I'm kidding. I'm like, I'm really not kidding. Like, she can't take me seriously at the same time.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, look, a camp.
I know!
Mason!
I see it. Left side brake, left side brake, left side brake.
Ouch!
Right side brake, right side brake.
We knew that there were snakes and all these different kinds of bugs that I've never seen before.
At that point, I was just getting frustrated.
He was like, I'm just going to walk the whole way. I'm just going to walk the whole way. I was like, you can't. You got to get back in the boat. Because it was, some places would be like 10 feet and then other places would be like 4 feet.
Or
But he just
3
wanted
inches.
to walk it. And I was like, you can't walk it. You have to get in the boat. Thank God he did, because we ran into that gator. He would have lost a leg or something. We would have been in the hospital.
Yeah, I would have really missed the boat on that one. After the second gator, probably another 3 miles.
God, yeah.
So, an hour, 2 hours?
An hour in the pouring rain.
Probably 2
Don't know
hours.
why, but Florida always pours and then stops. You can ask anyone in Florida.
It was about
And
2
it
hours.
did not. It was pouring the whole time. And I'm talking torrential downpour. That too. So we were in a drought. So we weren't expecting rain. There hasn't been rain in a couple months.
Who would have thought the weathermen would be wrong? We saw, okay, so there was 3 signs during this whole time. There was pretty much the beginning sign. There was a halfway sign, which was 4.25 miles.
Yeah. So you would think too that like the trees would be marked, like you know when you go hiking and you have all the different colored flags and stuff to follow, or just at least the signs like how many miles you're at. But there wasn't. There was a starting sign, and then there was the halfway sign. Finally, the halfway mark. Look, there's a bench to eat lunch and park your canoe. Oh, I just hurt my hand really bad.
Stop and eat.
And then it was
the welcome to your destination after the 8.5 miles. So the whole time too, it made it worse because you didn't know where you were. You didn't know how much longer you had. I was trying to videotape too. That's why we crashed.
Hold on. The pressed can.
Oh,
Give me. No, hold on to it. I need you to hold on. Uh-oh. That's why I told you to put it in the boat.
Mace, fix that first. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, get it, girl.
I'm trying.
You're so scared of me.
Really? Well, we're pretty good at backing up. Yeah, I think they did.
Seriously, though.
Oh shit!
Oh God! How did that happen?
Where's Jessica?
She hit us.
Here, hold it. Brady's sitting here.
Give us your stuff. Give us your stuff. I can't let go because I got a log. You have a hole in it? I don't have a log. I'm on a log that's somewhere I'm staying up.
Back up, reverse.
Back in the water.
No, the only way I can stay up.
We're gonna lose all our stuff.
Go, what do you mean go around?
Like so right.
Go to the bush. Paddle back here. Stand down. Taylor, go push me.
No, I want to stay here. I have a log.
See, we have to push the community.
I know.
Mason?
But I need to stay.
Mason!
You stay here.
Hey, let's go.
Why not?
Man down. Sunken ship.
Please, everything's so.
I said back up.
I'm trying. Now left side paddle. Let's see if I can turn them. Where are they? Why? I don't think so. Yeah, exactly. Now you know what I mean. That's what you keep doing to me.
Nothing I can do about that, man. Are you okay?
You don't understand because you're not taking the impact.
You gotta do the power if you want to switch.
You're just being mean and acting like it's nothing. That really hurt, Mace. Look at my arm.
Use your thing. I can't do anything.
You did. You're steering.
I'm trying the best that I can. You'd be horrible with this.
I have to go so scratched. This is way more open, but what we just went through was an obstacle course. Literally like ducking under that kind of stuff. All the trees and stuff were in it. Hurts. It's creepy in the silence, isn't it? We're about to be stopped on sand. See, there is a stream. See how it's flowing that way? Meanwhile, we're tired and we're struggling. Boat's still filling up with water. oh God, I don't even like thinking about it because it was literally a life and death situation. We were in survival mode, life or death. Like, we did not think that this, like, we were going to get out of it. I've never done this before, but I actually, like, prayed out loud to God to get us home safely because I didn't think that we were going to get there. I didn't know what was going to happen. You couldn't predict the future at this point, so I literally prayed out loud.
Throughout the trip, there was no safety or any not lifeguards, but what's the word I'm looking for? No lifeguards,
Like employees or anything
on duty, like park rangers or anything like that in sight. But we were, like I said, we were alone. There was nobody ahead of us, nobody behind us. Nobody could help us for a long time.
Nobody to check in with.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So after 8.5 miles and 7 hours of grueling pain and suffering, we finally approached the docks to return our canoes. We about rolled out of the canoes.
We about rolled. We literally rolled out of it.
I kissed the dock.
He helped me out. He had to like pull me out.
I pulled the Yeti cooler out first because that was more important.
I was done. So we got out of the boat. We had to dig our stuff all out of the water that was in the canoe.
And we had to wait for a shuttle service.
And let me just say, this is how desperate I was. That dock was really dirty and it had like the blue like spongy stuff on it. I rolled on it and touched it with like my hands and my knees and my body because I was just so happy to be out of that canoe and out of the water and on land. But it was really disgusting.
And huddle with strangers under a pavilion and wait for a shuttle bus for about an hour.
Yeah. Oh, and then the shuttle bus, the tire went flat.
We were, like I said, we were told it was about a 3.5 mile canoe trip to Wekiva Springs in Florida. But when we got there was no turning back, and it was actually an 8.5 mile canoe trip, which we thought we were able to do. It was, only 8.5 miles, but it ended up being about seven hours of canoeing.
Had we have known that it was like that, we would probably have said no. But since we thought it was more controlled and shorter, we said yes. Don't ever ask us to go canoeing because we'll probably say no.
Not saying it's not for you, but it just wasn't for us.
Okay. I'd rather be on a beach or a boat somewhere.
Boat.